Hey guys, welcome back. AURABOMB here, bringing you another one of our deck profiles for the next set. One of our big mega videos that I do every, a week, few weeks before set 6 comes out, or the next set comes out. But this time, unfortunately, us in America, at least us in North America, have gotten a whole month delay for our set. But I know some of the other parts of the world have it, and I know some people want to start preparing for set 6. So this is my way of doing that. There's a lot of decks I'm not going to talk about in this video. I'm only going to talk about decks that have a relatively good amount of new cards in them. Decks like Imperial Dramon, which has almost nothing, maybe like the new Vmon. Let me show you guys here. Maybe they have this card just to like draw extra cards through an inheritable. But other than that, Imperial Dramon doesn't really have anything new in it. There's also, what's the other deck? Like Lord Nightmon. Lord Nightmon, there's not really many new yellow cards that are impactful in Lord Nightmon. Maybe this Pulsemon to give it jamming if you have 3 security cards, but then like that's like a different kind of deck because you're keeping yourself at 3, which Lord Nightmon doesn't really do. Other than that though, there's not really many new cards to talk about for those sets, for those decks. Let me know in the comments down below if there's any decks that you think I'm missing. But we're just going to go ahead and hop into it. There's not really an order. It's kind of loosely based on color. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. We're going to start with the big boy himself, Jesmon, just because this is like target number 1, as we all know. This is going to be the first format, at least in Japan. And we all know that decks in Japan versus America are very different, right? As we've been proven many, many times before, formats are almost never the same. I'm going to change the song. Formats are almost never the one for one, but we can all agree that Jesmon's probably one of the strongest decks in the game, for sure. And in Japan, at least, this is one of the very few formats where we had 3 like tier 1 decks, being Jesmon, 3 Musketeer decks, and these Bond of Courage, Bond of Friendship decks, mostly the Gabumon one. So we're gonna go over this one first because this is your this is your primary target, and you want to make sure you can beat this deck if you're going to be playing decks in this game. Jesmon here is kind of crazy. When you play Digimon card with Sistermon in its name, when attacking, you play Digimon card with Sistermon. We have the CL and Blanc in here. CL is gains you a memory on play and gives you 2,000 more DP, while Blanc gives you a blocker and a draw 1, and they give all your Sistermon's blocker, which means if you have this down, this also becomes a blocker. So now your deck is filled with blockers, Digimon, like weaker Digimon that can still attack while also being blockers. They give your Royal Knight Digimon some sort of benefit. And then it has piercing once per turn. When you play another Digimon, this Digimon gets 3,000 DP and gains piercing. So on its own, when you play another Digimon using its own ability, or if you played a Digimon at all that turn, you become 14,000 DP without any inheritables, without any Sistermon CL or anything like that. And you get piercing. So now you can beat over Digimon and check multiple security. You have access to Volcanic Dramon, Save Your Hawkmon, Greymon, stuff like that. We're going to go over each card, obviously. I don't want to make this video too long, but I just kind of want to go over why each deck is great, because at the end of the day, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get together with some friends, and we're going to play all of these decks that you're going to see together in a few videos here and there, just to kind of do their own individual profiles where I go a little bit more in depth into these decks and your other options, because there's a lot of options that you have in this game now. So there's a lot of different cards I'm choosing not to play, or maybe I can play. Like we have that new Gallantmon that people can play in this deck to be another level 6. I'm going pure Jesmon because we have consistency. We have access to the new memory boost cards that lets you grab a Digimon for the top 4 cards of your decks. We have Hawkmon here that lets you, or Hawkmon, I guess, that lets you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and then add any Sistermons or Jesmons or Hawkmons, I should say. So we have a lot of consistency in this deck. So that's why I'm choosing not to play the Gallantmon. So we'll see if that's worth it or not. We still have some pretty, like, you can still attack with your level 5s and whatnot. So I don't think it's the end of the world if we play the Hawkmon or not, or if we play the Gallantmon or not. I kind of like it with just the Jesmon. It lets you add a little bit more tech cards in this deck that you can deal with other decks as well as like be able to win games faster. We play Yokomon because it gives you, if you attack a Digimon, you get 1,000 more power. So with all the effects, assuming you have no Sistermon, your Jesmon can be swinging into Digimon for 15. With piercing, which is really nice. Obviously, any other boost like Agumon, a Singer CL, anything like that will give you a little bit more power to be over like the strongest Digimon in the game, such as Omnimon and whatnot, or like a really souped up Lord Nightmon, which is still like a decent deck in the game for sure. This is kind of like the new Lord Nightmon though, so it's just something to keep in mind. Gigimon is just more power, obviously, but you can play pretty much anything here. Monodramon for cheaper cost. You could increase the Monodramon count and cut this Agumon. Maybe even play 4 of this Agumon. This one's really interesting. When you attack the player, you get 2,000 more power. So it kind of like covers for the fact that you're not attacking into a Digimon when you're attacking security directly, which is nice because that way you don't die to to Omnimons and security or anything like that. We have this Gilmon. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted, trigger draw 1, which you do definitely delete Digimon, obviously, because you're beating over them. And I'm sorry that I'm a little bit distracted. I'm just trying to keep the music consistent. But yeah, this is the one where if your opponent's a level 6, you can evolve into a Gabumon, and Gabumons are pretty good. There's a new one and the old one, which are both pretty decent. But I think this just the ability to draw 1 card is good enough on its own. Some extra 1-cost Evo and Monochromon. This could be Dark Chinaman. Doesn't really matter too much. Boa Hawkmon here. If you have a Digimon with Sistermon in its name, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 DP or less. That deletes some weaker blockers, if that ever matters. It kind of does matter because you're going to be attacking with your other Digimon to finish the game off. So being able to delete blockers is pretty nice if you're going to be finishing the game with Sistermons and whatnot. We have Greymon here, obviously, for security attack +1. Same with Voltramon. And then we have the big boy himself, Savior Hawkmon. When Digivolving, you can play a Digimon with Sistermon in its name without paying its memory cost, which is nice. And then you have the ability to unsuspend if you have a Sistermon in play, which is kind of crazy because now this guy can have multiple security checks, attack twice while having piercing, and insane amounts of DP as well. So Jesmon is a beat stick and a half. Of course, we can finish games off with Omnimon Blitz, which is nice. And we are playing a Delicate Plan because some of the best decks in the game have insane security, so having Delicate Plan can save you in a lot of matchups. You can obviously increase this to a 2 count if you'd like. It might be a little more consistent that way. I like it because like it can go to your hand from security, so you're almost always going to get it in a game. Then you have Judgment of the Blade here, which is really great. One of your Digimon with Hawkmon in the name or Royal Knight can attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. So it doesn't matter if they're suspended or not. You can play this guy for 1 memory and just start clearing Digimon off the board, which is why we don't play things like Gaia Force in this deck, because this card is just insane. And it's security. You may play 1 Digimon card with Sistermon in its name or trash without paying its memory cost from your hand or trash, which is really nice. And that's the same with Jesmon too. Like these Sistermons can be played from your trash, not just your hand, which is really, really nice. Means that your Sistermons are always live. Tai gives you that 3 memory that you need, as well as that extra security check. And then we have red memory boost here, as we talked about earlier, giving you that delay effect to gain 2 memory, which does come into play. You can do that red. You can play this down, evolve the following turn, evolve into Jesmon, delay, and still use cards like Judgment of the Blade or Delicate Plan, and still swing that turn. So overall, this is going to be one of the best decks in the game. There's a lot of different iterations, very few differences in the card pool, but very few differences in deck list, but they exist for sure. Obviously, these deck profiles are just kind of like they're more like skeletons. Like here's what the deck looks like. Here are some options, and you can switch around cards that you feel like are better, and everything's based on the meta in the end of the day, which has always been different from America to Japan and other countries as well. So take with it as you will, but this is what the original my starting list is going to look like. And do keep in mind, I did play in a lot of Japanese set 6 tournaments online and stuff like that, so I have played this game. So this is going to be, I have played all of these decks against friends, against tournaments, stuff like that. So these are what I've come up with after playing those tournaments, after testing with people and stuff like that. So up next is the Agumon Bond of Courage deck. It's another red deck. It's kind of give you Rookie Rush vibes with a really strong top end and Bond of Bravery. So the whole point is you play a bunch of Agumon, and then you have this new card, Tai Kamiya, that lets you, whenever you raise from your raising area, you get to draw an extra card and gain a memory. And as well as gives you the ability to evolve one of your Agumon into the Agumon Bond of Bravery over here. And it costs you security, I believe, right? how much? Yeah, you have to trash the top 2 cards of your security stack. At the end of the turn, if you have 1 or more security cards, delete it. So if you have no security cards, you get to keep it. But usually you want to end the game with this card because this is a really strong card. If you have a Tamer in play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13,000 DP or less when attacking, which is great. It's not a once per turn ability either, so if you can attack twice a turn, which doesn't really happen, but if you could, then you can delete multiple Digimon, which is actually really, really nice. And then, of course, it has the once per turn when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. And there's some particular Agumon here that give you +1 security if you are the Bond of Bravery, like this one right here. This one also has it when you play a tie, gain 1 memory, which is convenient in its own, because that makes tie a 2-cost card if this is out on the board. Then you have some other pretty decent cards in this deck that makes it tick. Obviously, Koromon gives you that extra draw if you attack with a Greymon. So we are playing some Greymons in here. We are playing this Greymon because it's a security card. There's some pretty decent security cards in this deck, which also makes it kind of scary to deal with. We have this Greymon. This is the very original promo from the box toppers from set 1 and 1.5, I guess, which gives you security attack +1 if you're an Agumon. And you can increase your power by quite a bit. Like this one increases your power by 2,000. So you become 7,000. This one is if you attack the player. It's also 2,000. So you have 7 cards that can make this Greymon 7,000 DP. And 7,000 DP is pretty high. Is a pretty high number to check security. That's all level 3s and 4s and a lot of level 5s as well. Some level 5s for 6,000 DP. So you can actually check quite a bit of security with this card pretty safely. This one lets you search for Tamers. We are playing not just this, but some Marcus. You can play this a 3 count if you like, just because Marcus give you that 3 memory. If you attack with the Greymon, you get to gain a memory. You're not attacking with Greymon all the time, which is why it's not the most important card in the game. But Marcus's ability to give you 3 memory at the start of your turn is really good. That means you can push the amount of Digimon you play on the board, which is nice. There's also Agumon Expert here, which lets you recover Agumons, which is cool. Pretty decent. Then we already talked about this Agumon. We have a Goonimons, that way we can beat the game up with by evolving over the Tamers. We have this Greymon, the Geo Greymon, at the end of the battle. It's another security card, so it gets into play and deletes Digimon with 4,000 DP or less on play, so another more control aspect. Magnadramon, because a lot of this game, we have like 2, 4, 6, 10, and then we have 2, 6. That's 16 Digimon. 16 cards in security that are decent for you, with 10 of them being able to delete things. So having access to Monodramon to recover whenever we can't quite push for game, it also stops your opponent from being able to win the game the following turn, is really, really good. And obviously we play some control options. Red Reamer is a really cool new one. It's 4 costs to delete one of your opponents with 6,000 DP or less. But if they have 3 or more Digimon in play, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13,000 DP or less, which is kind of nasty for a 4-cost deletion. We're still playing Gaia Force, and we play Atomic Blaster, one of the newer ones. Delete any of your opponent's Digimon whose total is 8,000 DP or less. This is a good way to delete 2 Sistermons or just a bunch of weaker Digimon. Good in the mirror match or rush decks or Gabumon decks. It's a great way to clear boards, so Atomic Blaster is great. But that's the Agumon Bond of Courage deck. It's pretty much Rookie Rush into a really strong top end with also really strong deletion options. So pretty good deck, actually. It's seen a lot of success, and it's really high skill, I think. It feels like some of the best players that play this deck never lose. It's kind of insane. Because like, if you think about it, you have all the options in the world. You can rush your opponent, you have a big beat stick, you can recover carefully, and you can also do a bunch of deletion. It's kind of insane. And you get a lot of memory if you play a bunch of these guys early. So overall, I really like this deck. I can't wait to give it a try. And then we bump over to the Agumon. No, this is the Rookie Rush. My bad. This is Rookie Rush. Rookie Rush doesn't really change too much. You play the same cards. This is blue-green. Blue has a lot more toys. You can still play yellow-green. You can still play yellow-blue. Like, there's a little different options now, but blue has more toys that we can play with now. We have the new Modoki Betamon, where your opponent can't gain memory except with Tamers, just like Chumon and whatnot. So that is added to blue, which is nice. You have... Excuse me. Same green boys. You have the new Vmon, which if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, trigger draw 1. And if you want, you can always squeeze in an All Force or so in this deck, the new All Force in particular, just to have a top end if you want. I don't play it in this deck, but it is an option if you want to play 4 of this and like maybe like 1 or 2 All Force. It does add more bricks to your deck, which is kind of lame in Rookie Rush, but it does exist. We go back to playing the X Vmon just to unsuspend some of your weaker boys that survive attacking, specifically the jamming Vmon. It also means that you're evolving so that this Vmon gets its drawing effects, which is nice. You still play Lobomon because you are playing quite a few Tamers. Gorillamon exists. Then we play Aqua Viper. Here's where the stuff gets cool, right? We have new option cards that are really cool. Aqua Viper is not new, but it does bounce blockers, which is nice. We have Howling Memory Boost, which is actually really, really strong, which is trashing up to 2 Digivolution cards from the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon. Then one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards can't attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you can stun them without them able to play around, as well as being able to be a delay effect, which gains you 2 memory later. So stunning Digimon obviously is great in all formats. Like if you can somehow stun a Jesmon, that's really, really cool. Then of course we are playing Davis. You know, it's pretty standard rookie rush stuff. Not much to talk about here. And then we have a really, really cool deck that my buddy Tom loves. We have Hexablout. Not really any different than the Hexablout you guys already know, but we are playing the new level 6 being a Zulongmon, which lets you trash 1 Digivolution card from the bottom of all of your opponent's Digimon, then gain 1 memory for each of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards on Digivolution. So it's 5 costs to evolve, but obviously you can decrease that by quite a bit because your opponents will usually have a lot of Digimon that have no sources on them already. And then for each Digimon with no Digivolution cards in your opponent's play, this Digimon gains security attack +1. Which is kind of nuts. It's kind of a crazy card. There's definitely scenarios where your opponent just has a really big board, and you just you just evolve into the Zulongmon for like 0, and then you swing for a security attack +5, and clear the security and then win the game with like a blitz or something like that. It's kind of nuts. Other than that, though, not many new cards. Like I mentioned earlier, we do have this card. There's a lot of... The reason why we play this is because delays exist now. These memory boost cards exist. So this stops them from gaining memory using these cards as long as that card's on the board. But this gives you added consistency to this deck that this deck really needed. Howling Memory Boost is still a great card to stun Digimon. Takumi we played to help us draw through the deck. We still play 4 Hex because it's like the best card in the deck still. And we have the new card... Monodramon, I guess is how you say that. It lets you unsuspend. When attacking, if your opponent has a Digimon with no sources, unsuspend. This would be crazy if we had a level 4 security attack +1s. We don't, but it's 2 checks that you get to do, which means you get 2 swings, which is great, versus with cards like a Zulongmon. Gives you 2 swings at high security. You still have jamming, and this is not a once per turn ability, so when attacking, you get to trash more sources, which is great. Excuse me. And yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it for the deck list there. So let's move on to, excuse me, Gabumon. This is going to be the Gabumon Bond of Courage, I believe. Bond of Friendship, as well as Ancient Garurumon. You don't have to play both together. I play both together because it's kind of accomplishing the same thing at the end of the day, which is why I play them together. But this line, I think I'm going to cut this down to a 3/3 line personally to play some extra cards, but all up to you guys in the end of the day. This is one of the first times we get a new card, which is something I didn't mention earlier here. I'm not playing the brand new Guilmon that we have exclusively because we did get brand new promos, right? Oh, these are big. Those are small. That's good enough. We did get brand new promos that we're getting before Japan. Such as this Guilmon here, lets you draw a card when attacking. Pretty useful, honestly. Added consistency. You can throw this into the deck probably over like Agumon or something. It's something I want to try personally. I haven't played it yet or tried it yet, so I don't want to say for sure, but this is a card that you can throw into the deck. But in this deck for sure, I'm definitely throwing in the new Gabumon to be able to search for tamers. 4 of might be really high, but I really want to try it out personally, so I'm playing it as 4 for now. But being able to search for tamers is really big in these Bond of Friendship, Bond of Bravery decks, because you can't actually evolve into your Bond of Friendship here without the mat down, and mat gives you a lot of, I mean, it's just really good. It lets you be able to gain a lot of memory, draw an extra bunch of cards, and that's really good for these rookie like decks. So we play this Gabumon, obviously, this Gabumon, and this Gabumon. So we only have 12 Gabumons in this deck list. You can increase that count a bit if you cut these down to like a 3/3 line or something like that. And also, it also decreases the bricks in your deck, because obviously if you draw too many of these, it's bad. Especially since we have 8 big boys in this deck list, bricking could be a problem, which is why I kind of want to cut this down. And then you could add 2 more Gabumon, giving you 14 in total, which is a good number. We still play Stravimon, but you don't really want to evolve into Stravimon unless you're rookie into Stravimon, unless you just really want to draw an extra card. But Stravimon does let you search for tamers as well. So we have a lot of tamer searching now. We should be able to find our Davis and our Mats pretty quickly. We are playing 4 Lobomon because in most matchups, No matter how much your opponent will control the board, as long as you have tamers on the board, they can't stop you from swinging with Lobomon for game. And that's why we play it as a 4 of. It's searchable and it's really, really useful. Same with Kendo. This gives us 6 Digimon that can evolve from our 7 tamers in case we get like, unless we tamer rush our opponent down and then swing for game. Similar to what they're doing for set 7. And similar to how I've been losing the blue playing my decks recently. So then we have this Lobomon, obviously, to evolve into this big boy and get multiple swings in. Then we have, of course, the big boy himself, Bond of Friendship. This is a crazy card. Once per turn, if you have a tamer, you may unsuspend this Digimon. So it gets 2 attacks automatically. Return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to the bottom of the deck when attacking. So you get to do that twice. So you get to clear boards from weaker Digimon. Pretty much, yeah, twice when swinging. And then, I mean, that's just really, really good. I don't really know what else to say about that. It's really, really good. It's game ending because that way, even if you're at 0 security when attacking to keep this thing on the board, you've at least cleared your opponent's board, so it's going to be really difficult for them to win the game the following turn. Or you can be it, even if this thing goes away or gets destroyed or whatever you want to say, it's fine because you've cleared the board, and that's really, really important. We do have some other cards here. Rattlestar. When you return one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to the hand. So more board clearing. Oh, excuse me, guys. Getting over a sickness. We got Blue Memory Boost, obviously. Hammer Spark, push our stuff a little bit. Also gives us some pretty strong security as well. Gain memory, and then this thing can bounce some stuff on the board. Bouncing is pretty big. You want to bounce in this deck so you don't lose pretty much to big boards. Because you really don't have any board clear outside of like Kendo that can return a level 3 Digimon to the hand. So you're just doing a bunch of bouncing in this deck. And of course, we do have this card which does unsuspend. So you can get like 3 Digimon removed from the board using this card if you have this Gabumon underneath it, which is kind of nuts. So yeah, I mean, this is a really cool card. It's a really, really strong deck because you're doing a lot more removal than red does. It's not permanent removal, obviously, because they can just play it again, but bouncing is pretty strong if you can bounce the majority of the board in one turn. So that's this deck. Next is yellow. This is really similar to Lord Nightmon, but we're actually having a heavy emphasis on War Greymon here because there's a lot of new cards in this deck that play with you having 3 memory exactly. Bibimon over here lets you gain a memory when attacking with 3 memory, which is really, really good. We have the new Pulsemon here, which gives your War Greymon jamming if you have 3 security. And I kept saying memory and not security. 3 security, which is insane because as we all know, if you guys have played War Greymon, your biggest thing that you lose to every time is hitting into something in security that sucks. So being able to have jamming is really, really, really strong. It also has an on-play effect to gain memory to put yourself down to 3 security, which is pretty useful if you're trying to put yourself at 3 security for effects, but generally you don't use that if you don't need to. Just having that jamming is super important. We have the new Wizardmon here. When a card is removed from your security stack, you gain a memory. So whenever you attack with War Greymon and you remove a card from your security stack to unsuspend, you also gain a memory at the same time, which is really nice. We're still playing Lord Nightmon because this card's still nuts, and we have a lot of good cards. And like we're still playing the good cards that Lord Nightmon has, like Starman and Pulsemon, Lucimon, Bushi, stuff like that. This is still a good card. 1 Chaosmon. You can increase this if you want. It's final thing to cut. Rise Greymon to reduce DP. Because reducing TP is good, especially combined with War Greymon, because this art is also not once per turn. So you can get minus 10,000 on swing, right? Because you do 1 swing, that's minus 6,000, minus 2,000. Then you do another swing, which is another minus 2,000. That's minus 10,000 altogether. So Rise Greymon's pretty good. These are still probably better because you can make your board big, which is going to be pretty useful against the likes of Jessmon and whatnot. Just be able to swing past all their blockers, delete their blockers with the War Greymon, etc., etc. Because you still have access to Starman and whatnot, so it also helps with the big boards. But I can definitely see you going back and forth between these two. I also like Angelomon a lot though against Jessmon because being able to stop them from checking out a bunch of security, even if they delete your Digimon, at the very least you stop them from clearing your security, which is really nice. And yeah, if you want to cut some Nightmon as well, like it's this section right here, I have to test it more to see how much I really like Rise Greymon, because being able to play TK for free is pretty nice as well. Still playing Spiral because you do get big boards a lot. And you have a lot more memory control nowadays too, so you can even hard play a bunch of Digimon if you want. So I do like this. It's also, Wizardmon's pretty cool as well because it's a 4 cost hard play, which means that everything was like, your lowest hard play beforehand was Unimon at 5 cost. Being able to open with a 4 cost card, if you don't have a rookie in hand, or need to hard cast something, is also really strong as well. So overall, yellow is still doing yellow stuff. We'll see how it fares in the meta. One of my personal favorite decks. I have like 3 or 4 personal favorite decks in this format, but this was definitely one of my favorite. This is Commandermon. I think d-brigade's kind of nuts in this new format because you have really strong security as well as this inherent ability to be sticky thanks to this Commandermon being able to put more Commandermons on the board on deletion. So even if your opponent deletes you during your turn, you can potentially replace it immediately. It's really nice. We have added consistency thanks to Dracomon, which is very interesting because this card lets you search for Digimon with Drummon in its name, such as all of our Commandermons, and that's just nice. It's just, I don't have much else to say about it other than it's nice. It lets you look for Dark Dramon, Seals Dramon, all of our Commandromons is really good. We also have this Core Dramon, which is a security blue card. It lets you draw 2 cards as well as be another Digimon on the board, which is deck's all about, having strong security. And this card being another security Digimon that also lets you draw cards, which you can hard play because sometimes Commandromon really needs to draw cards. I've definitely experienced that a lot. So having this, no Tankmon because Tankmon's kind of lame now. You don't really need it. We are playing Zwart Defeat. You can, if you don't want to play Zwart Defeat, you don't have to. You can actually play other level 6s like Millenniumon or Zwart instead. I like Zwart Defeat because it can delete Tamers. Tamers are kind of problematic, as well as being able to get checked off security, giving you even more bodies on board, which is nice. And then we play some strong cards. Ultimate Flare is still good, especially against Jesmon. As we can see here, Jesmon doesn't play anything that's 4 cost. And then Sistermon is also a 3 cost card. So you can clear a bunch of rookies and Sistermons. So that's amazing for the deck. Why is my phone constantly buzzing for not messages? All right. My bad, guys. And then we have the new security card, Iron Fisted Gauntlet, which deletes all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. So if they have multiple Jesmons on the board, multiple Beelzemon, Beetle Starmon, stuff like that, you can delete all of them at once, which is really nice. It's like a Gaia Force with the potential to delete multiple Digimon, which is really cool. We still play Izzy and Izumi, this new one. If your opponent has 2 more Digimon, gain 2 memory. That's really, really easy to do. And more importantly, when one of your black Digimon gets deleted, you may unsuspend this tamer to trigger draw 1. So it gives you a little bit more consistency to the deck, letting you draw extra cards because obviously you're a bunch of rookies, you're always going to get deleted. And the reason why this deck is cool is because obviously we all know how it is. Dark Dramon lets you put these rookies back on top of your deck, so you almost have an infinite loop of Digimon. Not really, because obviously there's only like 5 Digimon every time, so technically it's this plus 20 at most. But that means you're going to have a lot of rookies in the deck, and being able to draw past the cards that you put on top of your deck is really nice, which obviously you can also circumvent by using this Commandromon to put those top 3 cards that you put on top of your deck to the bottom of your deck as well, just so you can draw past them. But having all that ability is really nice. And then Izzy plus Magnadramon always makes a good combo. If you want to not play any of these and play like maybe 3 Izzy, 3 Magnas, and then that way you can control what's going to be in the top of your deck with your security with Magnadramon plus Izzy. That's another option you have as well. Obviously, we have a lot of really good security cards here. 4, 8, 12, 16 different, decent security cards. So there's some options for you, but I think this deck has a lot of potential for sure. Up next is the onslaught of purple decks that are going to exist because they always exist. First, we're going to go over Titamon. Titamon's really strong. I really undervalued it at first, but Titamon has been taken like the format by storm back in the day. It's a very confusing card, but it's all about the combo, right? There's a lot of combos in this deck that make it really strong. Let's talk about Titamon first. Titamon has Wind Digivolving, trash 1 card from your hand. You may play 1 purple level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost. So similar to Chaos Galmon over here, where we can play a level 4 lower purple card from your trash when Digivolving by trashing a card, and then once per turn when you trash a card in your hand with your own effect, this Digimon gets 2000 DP and gains security attack +1. It's 4 costs to evolve though, so it's not like you can play in mat and then do it, but we have access to purple memory boost, and more importantly we have access to a really strong line of Digimon, the Ginkakumon. We're not playing the other one, but we are playing this one because it's really important. When you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, gain 1 memory. And this doesn't have to be under your Titamon. It can be under any Digimon. But you will gain a memory whenever you trash a card from your hand. So that means you can push yourself to be only a 3-cost evolution cost, essentially, so while being a 14,000 DP Digimon with security attack +1, which is pretty beefy. As well as summon multiple Digimon on the board. You can summon level 4 Digimon, such as the Ginkakumon Promote, which is a Digimon that has Rush, and on play you may play 1 Ginkakumon and or Ginkakumon or Ginkakumon or Kinkakumon. The Kinkakumon lets you I think, delete a level 3. Oops. I don't know why. Kinkakumon? Yeah, here it is. When you trash a card, you can delete one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. It's nice, especially since like whenever you play this card, you gain a memory and draw a card if you put both underneath. Overall, unnecessary. Just being able to trash a card to play this and put the Ginkakumon underneath to push you up to that 3 memory cost essentially is really nice. And it has Rush. So obviously that's an extra check essentially, which is nice. That's why we play 2. Other than that, I mean, we play pretty standard purple stuff. We are still playing Chaos Gabumon because it's still a good card for removing stuff, playing more Digimon on the board. We are playing the new Rebellion, which lets you on Digivolution trash cards to become a retaliation blocker, which is really big against Jesmon because sure they have piercing, sure they can attack Digimon, but you can still block them and you have retaliation, which means they die in the process, which means they get no checks. So retaliation blockers are insane, which is why we are playing 4 Vilemon and 4 Skull Greymon, because when you trash this card from your hand, you can play this under one of your purple Digimon. So what do? You play this under one of your blockers, and now that blocker has retaliation. A 4/4 line might be a little bit too thick, but I definitely love the fact that you can make your blockers retaliation blockers. That's huge, especially in this format where like they pierce and then they check like 5 security. So obviously you want them to die before they check their security. Also, this has a win attacking skill. It doesn't matter. You're almost never going to use this card unless you need to evolve it into a Titamon, which is why we are playing 4 of. I want to be able to both evolve them when needed, as well as discard them to give them retaliation blocker. Other cards that are relevant. New Ogremon has an on-play effect. The trash one card, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So that, I mean, free deletion is really nice for only 5 cost, as well as being a body. Pretty nice. New Elecmon on deletion deletes level 3 Digimon, which is also nice. That gets rid of Sistermon, I believe, because I believe Sistermon's level 3. Yes, Sistermon is level 3. And the other one's level 4, right? Yeah, Sistermon's level 3. So, another... Oh, that is the next deck. Gabumon, trigger 1, draw 1, draw 1, trash 1. You can play the other Gabumon, which is still probably better. The one that you draw trash 2, draw 1 on deletion. Pretty good. We're playing Sunomon, which is when you trash a card from your hand, using one of your effects, trigger draw 1. This is me giving you a bunch of new cards. You don't need to play this. You can go back to playing 4 Demi-Marimon and maybe one of these. You don't have to play this at all, honestly, but I do like the ability to draw extra cards here and there. Labramon, Gazumon, you already know what it is. Same thing, different day. Black War Groundmon. Yeah, that's all the purple stuff. Moving on to Lilith Loop. Lilith Loop is the same stuff, different day. This is the old version. Forgive me for not having the updated version. But you definitely played Demi-Marimon in this build. I just kind of copy-pasted from an old deck list, so I do apologize. But yeah, play Demi-Marimon in this build because you want to be trashing for sure, and maybe one Sunomon. This one's interesting though. When one of your other Digimon gets deleted, this Digimon gets plus 2000 DP for the turn. This is actually good for making your Omnimon be able to beat over security every single time with the Gigimon. Not necessary, but it is an option as well. Everything else is pretty standard. We are playing the full line here because whenever I evolve, what's it called? Whenever I use Omnimon Zwart to evolve and play cards from the trash, I want to play Ginkakumon Promote because it has Rush, so it can attack immediately. But I also want to make sure that when I do that, I get the ability to gain a memory. To do that, I have to play both Ginkakumon and Kinkakumon. So on evolution, you put them both underneath this card, and whenever you put both of them underneath, you get to gain a memory and delete a level 3 and draw. You get to gain a memory and draw a card. So overall, it's good enough. And then these guys have pretty decent effects as well. Everything else is pretty similar. We are playing the new Wizardmon though, which is really, really cool. When you use an option card, gain a memory. So now if you have a Lilithmon on the board and you get a single Jack Raid, and you have 10 cards in trash, which I'm assuming you will at this point, and you have Lilithmon underneath, Wizardmon underneath anything, you get to play the Jack Raid, gain 1 memory. Lilithmon lets you gain an extra 2 memory, that's 3 memory, and then Wizardmon lets you gain an extra memory. So that's 4 memory you get to gain from a single Jack Raid if you have that going. If you have 2 Wizardmon, 5 memory. If you have 3 or 4, insane. I'm not playing 3 or 4 because I need to play these other cards a little bit more. They're kind of important. Same with the Vilemon and the Skull Greymon, giving yourself retaliation blocker. I just feel like it's super big in this format, so I'm still playing it even though it's a lower count. Still playing this though. Black War Groundmon, Lady Devimon, they're really important for winning the game. And we're playing Titamon as well. It gives you the ability to trash cards from your hand on evolution, which is really strong, as well as being a really strong beat stick that can still do the Ginkakumon thingy. Omnimon, Zwar, Takumi, etc., etc. You guys know how it is. But yeah, that's Lilithmon. Same stuff, but with some added fun cards in the new Wizardmon and in the Ginkakumon promote to give you a Rush Digimon, which will help you win the game even faster. Up next is my personal favorite deck that I can't wait to really go hard, because I didn't play this deck till the end of set 6, and I loved playing this deck, and I really want to play it a lot more. So this deck is a little bit less refined than the rest, but this deck is so cool. This is Beetle Starmon, but instead of playing the security control list that every other player was playing, which I didn't like security control Beetle Starmon. I like the more standard security control because I just feel like it does way more. And this one is Beetle Starmon with a bunch of purple cards. So it's more of a make my board big Beetle Starmon. So if you guys don't know what this does, it is a 3 Musketeer Digimon. There's 3 of them in total. We're not playing the red one because the red one's not good. When playing this card from your hand, reduce its play cost by 1 for every 3 Musketeer Digimon and option card with a memory cost of 7 in your trash. So we play 4 of these. Just to say, like, we won't count these just in case. But we have 3, 7, 10, 12. So we have 14, right? 3, 7, 10, 12, 14 Digimon and option cards that can reduce this card's play cost. So this card can get really, really cheap. Unlike the security control decks, we're not playing as many option cards, so it won't become free, at least not early, not like super early in the game. But you can definitely become really cheap, and if you want, you can cut some pieces to play even more security cards if you want, like maybe make 4-ofs of everything here. But these cards are really strong, and of course, on play, you can return 1 option card with a memory cost of 7 from your trash, then use an option card from your hand with a memory cost of 7 without paying its memory cost. So obviously, on play, it becomes a deletion card most of the time, or it becomes a nail bone, which is you put two level 4 lowered a level 3 Digimon and a level 4 Digimon from your trash to make your board a little bit bigger. And so what happens a lot of the time is that you play Beetle Starmon to get a nail bone back, play a nail bone, and then play another nail bone, and then you have 5 Digimon on your board. Or you can evolve into Omnimon Zwart to put 5 Digimon on your board. There's a lot of ways to just make your board really, really big and really hard to deal with this deck. Really similar to what Lilith Loop does, but it's a lot slower for sure than Lilith Loop. But you do have a lot stronger top end in Millenniumon, Zwart Defeat. You play Millenniumon because if you run into Craniumon, it's really, really hard to deal with. You have to like beat over the Craniumon. So Millenniumon is Craniumon removal. Near the end of the format, in set 6 format in Japan, people started playing Craniumon to deal with this deck because this deck was really, really powerful. And this is just your way of dealing with it. Zwart makes your board big. Zwart Defeat is a security card as well as a way to delete Tamers, which is really, really nice. And we have some pretty strong options. This guy deletes all Digimon on the board with play cost of 7 or less, so that's that's really strong. It's black, but if you have a 3 Musketeer on the board, you can play it. We also play this guy right here, Deputymon, which reveals the top 4 cards of your deck. Add a Digimon card with 3 Musketeers and 1 option card with a memory cost of 7. Put them into your hand, and then you trash the rest, so it fills up your trash. And then this Digimon can evolve into a Digimon card with 3 Musketeer for a memory cost of 6. So this thing can evolve into Gundramon, which is a blocker, and has a Wind Digivolving effect to reveal the top 5 cards. You may add an option card with 7 among them. You may play an option card with 7 among them without paying its memory cost. And then you trash the remaining card. If you don't use an option card, you can delete opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 4 or less. So that the second effect doesn't matter too much. But being able to play one of those 7 cost option cards while also trashing the top 5 cards of your deck to fuel up the Beetle Starmon is really, really strong. We're still playing Matte because I want to put the Beetle Starmons back in my hand. You can increase this count a little bit. I really want to try out Sora over here. When one of your purple Digimon attacks, you may suspend this Tamer to trigger draw 1. We're playing a lot of rookies because these rookies are really strong. Impmon is on deletion, trash the top 3. Demimeramon, trash 1, draw 1, trash 1. Labramon, draw 1, trash 1. Impmon lets you get the Beetle Starmons from your trash back into your hand on play. You trash 1 card, and if you do, return 1 Digimon card. 7 Great Demon Lords, which is, or 3 Musketeers, which is both this and Beelzemon. Beelzemon I'm also playing because it can it can turbo you out into one of these guys, as well as just delete something on the board. And also, it's just cool. It's just my favorite Digimon. I'm sorry, I have to. It may not be good and you can cut it, but I think it's cool when you're playing 8 Itmons and you can put it back into your hand because it's a 7th grade Demon Lord, and it free deletion, and getting 10 cards of your trash is easy, and you can go hard play this, evolve into this, or maybe get it raised from security, things like that. It's so easy to do. It's easy to have 4 memory, especially when you play Sora and Mimi over here, which if your opponent doesn't have a level 4 on the board, gain 2 memory. So you can start with your turn with 4 memory, evolve into this, and then end it by evolving to one of your level 7s, which is really nice. I'm really excited about testing this deck even more. 1 cost Evo Devimon, Ginkakumon Promote, just because it has Rush, so you can attack with this guy pretty easily. If you play Nailbone, boom bam, easy money. As well as Zord. I mean, you're probably not going to have that much memory, but Nailbone does come up thanks to Beetle Starmon. Near the end of the game, you can have Beetle Starmon use Nailbone while still being your turn, and then you can boom bam have a promote down and do this stuff that way. Flybolt deletes one of your opponent's Digimon level that's level 6 or lower, and then Trump Sword deletes unsuspended Digimon. We all know what it does. So overall, really like this deck. I can't wait to play this one. I'm definitely the most excited to play this deck. Eosmon, another deck that I'm really excited to meme around with for sure. You guys saw I'm assuming most of you guys have saw my Unga Bunga Eosmon deck that played 50 Eosmons. It wasn't 50, I think it was like 40 or 35 or something like that. It doesn't play that many Eosmons in this build. This is more of like, we've seen the whole set and now we know what we can do with the deck kind of thing. We are playing green as the base because green lets me use cards such as Flower Cannon, Electroshocker, and Tropical Venom. Tropical Venom has one of your opponent gains on deletion lose 2 memory. The reason why we play this is because we can evolve into the level 5 Eosmon, which has a Windage Evolving, delete something on the board essentially, and then it's for 5 cost, right? So if you play Tropical Venom first for free, then you can choose a Digimon that you delete, right? And it'll gain, your opponent will lose 2 memory, so it'll still be your turn, which is why we do that. That's the main reason why we play green, honestly. But let's go over all the cards. Excuse me. I think it's better if we go by order here. Let's talk about this Eosmon. On play, you may play a white Tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand. Then your opponent may also play a Tamer card from their hand without paying its memory cost. But that's fine. You get to spam your board with Tamers. You really want to spam your board with Tamers in this deck. It also has Inheritable, which is you may play a white Tamer when attacking, which sometimes comes into play. You get to play more Tamers. Morphbond here lets you, on deletion, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add 1 Minoa, which is one of the Tamer cards in this deck, as well as Eosmon from your hand, and then you put the rest in the bottom of the deck. So that's really good, being able to get the Tamers as well as more Eosmon. Wormmon is on deletion, add a level 4 or 5 Digimon, which is one of your many Eosmons. And then we play Argomon because in case they don't die in security and your opponent does not delete them to give you the effects, they get to be unsuspended and gain a memory. So they have to delete it, or we're going to get a free memory at the start of our turn, which is really nice. And this one lets you, if you attack an opponent's Digimon, trigger draw 1. Sometimes I want to crash to search, so this will be crash, search, and then draw a card, which is really nice. We are playing 17 Eosmons because you can play as many as you like. You may include up to 50 copies of this card you may include up to 50 copies of this card with this card's number in your deck. And then when attacking, you may play 1 level 5 or lower Eosmon from your hand without paying its memory cost. So every time it attacks, it gets to spawn a new Eosmon of this kind or this kind. Then we have this one right here. For each Tamer in play, your opponent may play 1 level 5. For each Tamer in play, you may place 1 level 5 or lower Eosmon from your hand, from your trash. English is so bad right now. It's been a long video, guys. It's been 43 minutes. Oh my god. For each Tamer in play, you may place 1 level 5 or lower Eosmon from your trash to the bottom of this card. Oh my god, is that a spider? Ugh, I'll deal with that later. Dude, this Eosmon card does not want me to read it. I think I just had a spider crawl up my neck. Oh no, come back here, you little bugger. You little bugger. I got him. Sorry, homie. Usually I'd let you outside, but you're in my premises. The spider was on my foot. That's alright. We're cool, though. Spider's taken care of. He's been captured. I will take him. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyways. Windage Evolving. This is my favorite deck, and I know it's a big meme deck, and I just want to talk about it so bad, and of course everything keeps interrupting me. You may place, for each tamer you have in play, you may place one level 5 or lower Yosemon from your trash to the bottom of this Digimon's evolution cards in any order. If you place 2 or more this way, delete one of your opponent's Digimon. So it's an on-Digivolution deletion for the most part, because you will probably, by the time you have this Yosemon in play, have like 2 Digimon or 2 tamers on board. So if you place 2 or more, you can delete something. And then for every 3 Digivolution cards this Digimon has, you gain security attack +1. So this thing can become, especially late game, if you have, let's just say you have like, okay, so let's just say you evolved it from a straight Yosemon, right? So you only have 1 guy underneath you. For every 3, you get security attack +1. So that means you have to add what? 2 more +3 every time. So you need at least 5 tamers on board to get security attack +2, which is really easy to do when you're playing 8 tamers. And you can always play more tamers such as Tai Kamiya, or not Tai Kamiya, Takumi. Takumi doesn't really help you too much because you're very rarely evolving. But it is a cheap white cost tamer that stops your opponent's level 3s from evolving. So if you don't want to play, well, actually, it doesn't matter because you're only playing like 6 level 3s. You could cut the Wormmon altogether and play just 4 Morphmons, play some Takumis. That gives you 10 tamers. This also stops your opponent's level 3s from attacking you as much, which is really nice because obviously your guys are a lot stronger than level 3. And then you just kind of bite the bullet for this Morphmons here and there just because it is, at the end of the day, added search, which is nice. Then you get to play some strong option cards, Flower Cannons to make sure you can attack their security by breasting blockers. Tropical Venom does the whole on deletion, lose 2 memory. So you can actually play these on your opponent's blockers that they're forced to block with, and then you have more memory to make more plays. And then Electroshocker, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to its owner's hand, which is a great way to get rid of Digimon that just attacked your security as well as being a security option. This is your removal for the deck because green doesn't really have very good removal. And unfortunately, this is the only green deck we have that's not really a green deck because there's not a lot of green decks in this format there's not a lot of new green cards in the deck because this took the slot for green cards in this deck. So yeah, it's not amazing for sure. But Yosemon is really cool because you get to just spam. It's like the craziest rookie rush deck ever because it just snowballs over and over again. If they don't have a way to delete the cards, then you just continuously attack, get more and more and more Yosemons on the board until they just can't deal with it anymore. And the last 2 decks we're going to talk about, I think. No, this is the last deck we're going to talk about, actually. Security Control. As many of you guys know, I've become a huge fan of playing Security Control. I've been brainstorming over and over again different ways to make Security Control meta and strong and able to beat all the decks in the game, just because I feel like there's just like Security Control is a test of patience and knowing what to destroy, when to destroy it, what to let attack your security, having knowledge of your security thanks to TK, knowing what's going to be in there because of the Izzies plus the healing cards, knowing when the proper time to swing is. I feel like there's a lot of decision making to make in Security Control that makes it like such a fun deck to play. And I like decks that are multicolor anyways. So now, as you guys know, in my current list for set 5, I like playing the Gabumon. Now we can play it for sure thanks to this Gabumon over here. Being able to, since security control decks are very grindy and you delete a lot of their cards, which fills up their trash, by the end of the game, you can evolve this Gabumon into this Gabumon and then start swinging and then start trashing their security thanks to this Gabumon's ability to trash security, which is really, really strong. It really makes your end game options really powerful. It does add some quote unquote bricks to the deck, but it's a pretty cool option. And also having a rookie to evolve is really good. I always use this Poromon because this Poromon can delete 1000 DP Digimon such as Starman and whatnot. Not sure how relevant 1000 DP Digimon are going to be in the next format, but there's still like these Bond of Courage, Bond of Friendship decks that exist, so Poromon can be useful for that way. And then we play, same stuff, Monodramon, 4/4, and then you play like 2 Lucemon. There's a new Cordramon, which is a security Digimon, as well as like on play trigger draw 2. So being able to draw in security control is nice for only 6 cost on play, 5k body, pretty nice. Everything else is pretty much the same. Our options are a lot stronger now because it can deal with decks that are like that you weren't able to deal with before, such as like Craniumon and whatnot, without having to play added colors like I was doing. This is a good board clear card. It's a black card, cost 7. It doesn't activate in security, which is why we only played as a 2-of count, but being able to clear the board for the most part is really nice. Obviously, more Gaia Forces are strong, so we're playing some black Gaia Force. Then we're playing red Gaia Force. And we're playing other ways to delete multiple Digimon on the board. For only 5 costs, we can delete a bunch of Digimon in theory, or maybe 1 Digimon, but sometimes that's all we need, right? It's a really cool card. Delete any number of your opponent's Digimon whose total DP is 8,000 or less. It's really nice. Another red card that I want to try out is Happy Bullet Showering. Delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. So another board clearing card, really good versus Rookie Rush. You can probably play that, or you can just play Ultimate Flare as another Gaia Force, and you can play more of this as well. This is definitely like the first build because I haven't played this deck at all. This is based all on my knowledge of playing Security Control for like almost a month straight in this format, plus my knowledge of what I played against and how I'm expecting to play against some decks in set 6. So there's still some cards that you can play, like 4 of this, Ultimate Flares. You can put back the sword if you want to for more like single Digimon deletion. I like the idea of being able to delete multiple Digimon, but maybe Atomic Blaster is enough on its own. Then we just play more yellow stuff. This is another Gaia Force because one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 15,000 DP for the turn, which is also a way that you can play with against Craniumon, stuff that can't be deleted by effects. This is a way to circumvent that issue. So we have essentially, for a 12 Gaia Forces, I guess I'm only playing 3, so like 11 Gaia Forces in this deck, which is kind of nuts. Holy Wave is Holy Wave and Reinforcement Memory Boost. I'm only playing 1 at the moment because, once again, it doesn't really activate in security. It just becomes a delay effect. But it is free recovery. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck and place one of them on top of your security stack face down and add the other one to your hand. So it's essentially draw 2, and it's essentially a recover 1 plus a draw 1, and you get to choose, which is nice. Being able to choose is always nice for sure. And we're playing some Izzy's, this Izzy and Joe. This is a way to gain some memory. I like being able to have multiple. I want to make sure that I have 5 memory at the start of my turn in many games. That way I can hard play Zord Defeat if I need to. It's the only reason why I really care about it that much. Obviously, there is the Beetle Starmon version of Security Control where you play all of this, but most of your option cards are 7-cost option cards, such as Trump Sword. Play more of these. Play more of these big boys over here. You probably don't play red as a base. You play yellow as a base. Then you get to play cards like Salamon, and then you don't have to worry about these cards. You get to play the purple cards instead, and you still get to have like Wyvern Breath just as a Gaia Force option. You get to play more recovery cards, more stuff like that. So overall, they're both fine, but I really think this one has more legs because just red is just overall much more powerful when it comes to removing cards. So yeah, red, black, yellow, Security Control. But that's what I'm going to end you guys on. I'm going to be playing hopefully all of these against friends here in the future. So if you're excited to see gameplay with all these decks, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if there's any decks you think I forgot. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I didn't really feel like it was necessary for me to showcase Lord Nightmon, Imperial Dramon, stuff like that. That doesn't really change too much between formats. But if there's anything that you guys are interested in, I can make a part 2 to this video. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already, subscribe, share, all that good jazz, and I'll see you guys next time.